Alright, Shalom. Call Lord Yahweh, Bahasham Hamashak Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kakudash. This is your fellow servant Tazawari with another lesson. First, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, whom we know well and from whom we learn His truth. Shalom to you, Akim, who are not in GMS, but are pushing likewise doctrine in spirit and in truth with all sincerity. To you few sisters that are listening and learning, as well as you speckled birds that are scattered amongst the nations looking like those nations. To the 144,000 elect men and the rest of the hopeful elect, to you I say, Shalom. This is just a couple points I want to go over in the book of Isaiah. All right, chapter 25 in particular, and we'll pull that up here shortly. But what I pretty much wanted to preface that chapter with the things that have been going on in the world as far as alternative news media, right? Like your Al Jazeera, your RT News, all right, channels of that sort, which pride themselves on journalism, you know, have been shedding light on the hypocrisy, all right, of Babylon the Great, aka the Great Whore, aka the Valley of the Shadow of Death, aka US of A, right? And not only Babylon, you know, the mystery Babylon, also the small hats, which we call the 1948ers. Okay? You know those people who inhabited the Promised Land via the Balfour Declaration. That's why we call them 1948ers. Salakia. And, you know, it's clear that we are having a stint. Well, America is having a stint of rough patches with Russia, right? And I will go as far as to say Iran as well, because the states are in full support. You know, so saith Sleepy Joe. Right? Full support of the state of Israel. All right? Now, he did say that he didn't want for them to escalate a conflict with Iran. Well, that's because, as I stated in previous videos, America hasn't finished the restructuring of the United States Army. They haven't done their due diligence with supply chain, okay? And, you know, more recently they found out that, these other countries may have some weapons that may be problematic to NATO. All right, meaning the U.S., Babylon, and her allies. Okay, and we've seen that in the conflict with Russia and Ukraine, as well as the conflict between Israel and Iran/Gaza. Anyway, more and more people are beginning to speak out against these things. Against the policies, against the actions of this conglomerate of nations. And it seems, at least for a time, that Israel, the state of Israel, right, has, we'll say, changed places with Babylon, America, to the tune that in times past it was America that pretty much sat at the helm of NATO and did whatever it pleased. It didn't really move according to the rest of the votes within NATO and the thoughts and concerns of those allying countries. All right, and they did so unapologetically, in times past. From the time of Shrub, Little Bush Jr., up until, really up until while Barack was in there. Okay. Because the other nations, let's not forget about China, Taiwan, and the South China Sea and all of that, right? And Babylon was very bold with their maneuvering of warships in that area. Sending, in how shall I say this? Encroaching on the airspace over there, without proper notice and blessing from, those countries, mainly China. Whatever that redhead girl's name was. That stuff has kind of been suppressed and pushed back, but that is a unresolved conflict. That's an unresolved issue. And China is hell-bent on getting Taiwan back, just like the Russians are hell-bent on getting Ukraine back. Right? Anyway, I said all that to say, not only are the inhabitants of this land starting to speak out, but the other nations are starting to speak out. And we know Elam, right? The Elamites, that would be the so-called East Indians, right? They never, in times past, would have spoke against America or NATO or Israel. And now they're doing so very boldly. And that's just one country, right? Or one group of people. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up Isaiah 25. And let's start at Let's start at 2 and going down. I think it's only like 15 verses. I think the point I want is probably like around 9 or 10. But let's start here at 2. And it reads, this is Isaiah 25 and 2. For thou hast made of a city an heap, of a defense city a ruin, a palace of strangers, to be no city, it shall never be built. Right? Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee, and the city of the terrible nations shall fear thee. All right. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat, when the blast of the terrible ones is as a storm against the wall. All right. Now we can apply this to today. This is a future prophecy, but we can also apply this to today, because who are the strong people that glorify the Lord? Well, the strong people on this side are the elect, as the remnant. All right. The city of the terrible nations shall fear thee. And there's a chief. Well, if you read down, it says at the bottom of verse 4, it mentions the blast of the terrible ones. Well, who's terrible? If you go back to the book of Deuteronomy and the curses, right? Where it says, well, hold on, let me just get it. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 49, right? And it reads, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, right? Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Right? Now, it says terrible here, but going into that, the terrible one is those people that have a fierce countenance, right? That the Lord sent against us as swift as the eagle flieth, whom we know to be who? To be the third part of man, known as the sons of the wicked. All right. So you got the sons of God, the sons of power, which is us, the Israelites. You got the sons of man, which are the other nations, and then you got the sons of the wicked, which would be Esau, Edom. So he is the terrible one. Okay. And we also know that what? Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? And so in this captivity, when you look at verse 4, it says, for thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat, when the blast of the terrible ones is as a storm against the wall. Now, when you go back to Deuteronomy and you look at all of those curses and all of the things that these devils have put on us, right? He's made us the poor. He's made us the needy. right? We go to him in need of all things. He's plagued us on every side. Okay? At verse 3 it says what? Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee. And again, the strong was being the remnant. Alright? Now, because who are the only people that give glory to the Heavenly Father? That pushes his doctrine, not his doctrine, that pushes his laws, statutes, and commandments, and his ways, his way of living, his way of life. The Israelites, man. No other nation. It's why when you read throughout the scriptures, it says what? For his name's sake. We always petition the Lord for thy name's sake, right? Which our people are named after him. Israel, he Prince Power, Yasharallah. Right? Anyway, reading on because the point is down. Thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers as the heat in a dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. The branch of the terrible ones shall be brought low. Right? And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined. Right? Mountains go into governments. Salakia. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people. All right, so my point was in 7, not 8, 9. And the veil that is spread over all nations. Right? What veil? Well, there was a veil cast over all nations when? When the Lord gave the earth into the hands of the wicked. When Esau came into power, right? We know he lives by the edge of the sword, but during when? During the Renaissance period, he was able to begin his deception throughout all the earth. Now, some of the nations took pacts with this devil, right? Like Moab, the Ishmaelites, where it talks about the where it says they are confederate against thee. I believe that's in Psalms. And then it lists all these nations, right? The Hagarenes, and then Zidon and Tyre, so African nations, Ishmaelites, Moabites, and Edomites, right? They all made pacts. So some of them made pacts, but the rest of the nations, the smaller ones, like we could say Japheth, who is not the white man, all right, he really didn't have nothing to do with us being taken down like that. None of his tribes. When you look at Elam, right? They ruled us for a time under the Persians and the Medes, but we retained our identity. It wasn't until the Greeks came into power when what? When it became unlawful for us to call ourselves, to claim our heritage, right? That's when Ptolemy and his minions put extreme hell on us, man. Destroyed our temple and our sanctuaries. So that stuff didn't happen until the Edomites came into power. And then the removing, right? It says what? He covered the faces of the judges thereof, right? In Job 9:24. Let's just get it. Instead of me quoting the verse. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right? So again, we are the judges, the true judges. Well, we weren't until we abused it. Right? But it says what here in 7? And he will destroy in this mountain being Babylon the Great, the face of the covering cast over all people. So all the lies and deception that these devils have put out over the years through their sorcery, right? Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, right? But the wine that Babylon been pushing, as I was going into a previous lesson, all the policies that spread under the guise of democracy, right? Equality is another synonym they use. It's really a license to just sin and do whatever the hell you want to do, which is wickedness, because they're in complete rebellion against the Heavenly Father, man. Right, remove the face of the covering cast over all the people and the veil that is spread over all nations. Because some people actually did forget who we were, as we did. Right? Verse 8. Verse 7 was the point, but I read verse 8 anyway. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord Yahweh will wipe away tears from off all faces. And the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off the face of the earth. For the Lord Yahweh has spoken it. Right? So in that time, first off, we're going to be the only nation, the only group of people to receive immortality. So when speaking of he will swallow up death and victory, that's specifically for the Israelites. And it says what? The Lord Yahweh will wipe away tears from off all faces of who? And the rebuke of his people. The rebuke of his people. That's us, the Israelites. It says what? Rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth. So everywhere, once we put back into our rightful place, the nation's going to know that we are the true judges. And they're going to forget about this time when we weren't. He's going to remove that shame from off of us, man. It says for all of the earth. From off all of the earth, man. All right, but first, that covering cast has to finish, and that veil has to finish being removed. Which we pulling it back, right? So we looking like, yo, look, there go the wizard right there behind the curtain. It's a man behind the curtain. But you have some people that can't see it. They still, because they super drunk off the wine. They believe this devil is God. And not just for his nuclear capability. That's what got him in line in the first place. But as he keeps pushing with this sorcery, with this AI and these chips that's coming out, right? Remember who created that? That was not the other nations. That was Esau Edom, man. And he's gonna be the guy who really pushes forth that RFID microchip. You know, which is known as the mark of the beast, right? The charagma is what we call it. And people are gonna take it. They're gonna take it. So they're gonna get that, and they still won't really understand who this devil is off of certain individuals, right? The covering cast won't be pulled down until the sky cracks, man. But it's gonna be shit that goes wrong before then, because the scriptures speak about a grievous sore being placed on those men that take the mark. Right? Just like we don't know the long-term effects of all this lab-grown meat that they doing, the synthetic food. We know cancer comes behind processed meat and, you know, ultra refined sugars and all of that stuff, right? Obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure. So we see those things as side effects, which, you know, they have an acronym for those, SAD, the Standard American Diet. Right? GMO foods, lack of nutrients and minerals. So we see that the people are becoming more sickly. You know, but some things, the long-term effects are yet to be determined. And that was the case with the Jabberwocky. Right? They would say, oh, you know, it's safe. And now here it is. It didn't even have to be long-term side effects. We got an acute response. You know, it's been a year, 2 years, 4 years, whatever. We see people with these, you know, these new ailments, man, that's coming out behind that thing, that came out behind that thing. Healthy individuals dropping. Anyway, again, the people are going to follow that man all the way. And when the sky crack, then they're going to know. Be like, damn. But by then it's going to be too late, you know. But that's the will of the Lord anyway. Anyway, that was just on my mind, marinating. I pray this lesson finds you well. I pray it was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.